So, Hari Mai, from my heart place to your heart place, Tarisha, to the Heart Place Hospital podcast.
Thank you so much, Jackie. So nice to be here with you.
Yeah,
Your big
it's amazing.
heart.
It's payback since I've been on yours. So thank you so much. So welcome everyone to the Heart Place Hospital podcast, where we explore the intersections of wellness, transformation, and healing. And today we're honoured to have Tarisha, a trauma-informed relationship and sacred sexuality therapist, who is passionate about helping women reclaim the power and beauty of their sexuality. With multiple postgraduate degrees in counselling and psychotherapy, Tarisha has guided hundreds of women towards rediscovering their desires, embracing sexual empowerment, and feeling whole again. Her work leads to what so many long for, a heart-melting, soul-delighting, and fulfilling love life. And in today's episode, we're going to dive into topics like 5 keys to sex that melts your heart after 40, sexual healing for women, and how to become a sensually alive woman. Plus, don't miss the chance to access Tarisha's incredible free gift, the Reclaim Your Sexual Confidence mini course, which offers simple yet profound practices to heal your relationship with your body and sexuality. So everybody get ready for a conversation that's empowering, enlightening, and full of heart. Let's dive in, Tarisha.
Yeah, let's do that. Thank you so much for having me here.
Oh, you're most welcome. And I guess the first kind of question really is how did Tarisha get to here?
So I really felt, I know we've been in a business meetings together, right? And I felt your heart, and it was beautiful to talk to you. And I love the idea of supporting people who are really in support of other people. And I think it's just so important. So it feels good for me to actually be part of this. And I know that you and Manga Fine, it's a bit fun. I'm really trying to drive there and be there in person, but it's nice to support your initiative because it's so needed. Yeah.
Yeah, actually kind of more so than ever. We've just experienced quite a freak weather event. It's bringing up all sorts of things for people. So the events occurred, and then now with all the aftermath. So having people like yourself and others who have created these offerings, being the stewards and doulas and guides that you are, is just so important right now more than ever. So thank you so much. But I'm just super curious how you got into this work to begin with.
Well, I used to be a chartered accountant. That's why I started, and it felt a bit restricting. It felt like I wasn't quite living my purpose, whatever you want to call it, big words, but it didn't feel as satisfying. And then I just went on my own spiritual journey, and I went to India, went all around the world to find what makes me feel happy. And that's how I found out that connection to my body, to my sexuality, that's what gives me access to my power. So it's not just about my heart, but actually connection to my body, my sexuality. And when I was younger, I used to feel so bad about myself. And now when I look at my photos, I thought, wow, what I was complaining about. But it's that from the outside, all the pressure and somehow not feeling enough deep inside. And I think through this work, I started to feel loved, and I started to feel, of course, I've got places that I'm developing and growing, but actually I'm okay. And that's what I love to, teach other women, because I know how important it is for our families, for our kids, and having kids, I really want the best for them. And I know as mothers, when we feel empowered in our own body, when we love ourselves, it's not what we tell our kids to do, but actually how we feel about ourselves. And then it really, I feel like that's what can transform the life. Like when we transform a life of a woman, the ripple effects are just so amazing.
Amazing. I look back now and I think up until I did this work myself, the sacred work and discovering the embodiment, my body was the only purpose it had was to transport my head around. Literally, that was the only.
Yeah, that's
only
happening.
yeah. And once I learned that it had way more functions to that, and like you said, it was liberation, but also the power and the magic of that. And we've kind of alluded to this in the introduction. I wonder if we could talk about the five keys to sex that melts your heart after 40, and the modality of using it for healing and using it to feel like you're alive. I wonder if you could share some of those with us.
Mm. So, and 5 steps, right? We can only touch on them. I just want to say.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But the first step is actually for women to really feel into what's possible for me. Because quite often what I see women, especially after 40, they go like, well, my best years are behind, you know. That's when I was attractive and everything was supposed to happen. And we settle for less. We feel like it's not possible for me anymore to actually enjoy my body, enjoy really fulfilling sex life. But I see how the more we know ourselves, the more we come back into our body, the more we have the potential to actually experience this amazing love life. So the first step for women is actually to know it's possible. Like it's way more than possible. And when we're younger, it's less possible because we're so, we're kind of under influence of everything, right? We're trying to find who we are. We're creating children, right? We're starting work. So there's so much pressure that we don't really we're not able to step deeply into fulfilling intimacy, but after 40 we can. So that's the first step, right? To go into actually it's possible for me. That's right now is the time. It wasn't back then. It's actually now going forward. So that's step one. Then step two, what I see a big thing is we really need to work with our inner critic and start to be at peace with ourselves. And also, if we had past negative experiences, sexual experiences, intimate experiences, maybe childhood trauma, we really need to clear them because we can't create trust and safety, and we can't open our hearts when those past events are kind of still there. And I know consciously we might think they're not there, but our body keeps it. And there's a way in which we kind of close our hearts, close our bodies, even we're kind of trying, but we're not fully open. And when we're in this state, we can't really, kind of open up and feel and surrender. So that's step two. Yeah. So clear past negative experiences. Inner critic is so important because I just see how, and that's part of, working, like, as you say, my body is to carry my head. Because when I'm working with my head, always my whole focus is there. And I start to look at myself from kind of outside. And I start to see all the bad things. And women just, the dialogue is just, it's incredible. And when I work with women, when I invite them to actually speak it out loud, they're like, whoa, we don't realize. And I mean, how can I open up my heart and my body when I feel, when that inner critic is always telling me how bad I look, how I'm not enough? It's not possible. Yeah, you want me to go further? So, yeah.
Yeah,
So that's step two. So step three is come back into the body. And as you say, again, right, we're walking heads, or sometimes we're like above even. We're not quite in our body because it doesn't feel safe, or it doesn't feel like we're welcomed here. And we feel like if I'm above my body somewhere, I'm kind of, especially women who are more into spirituality, it feels more comfortable. Because actually in the body, sometimes there's all the struggles that happen, but we can't have fulfilling sex life if we're not in the body. And coming into the body, as my body is my home. I'm safe in my body. And when I really deeply step into that deep relationship, loving relationship with my body, and I'm safe here, I'm at home, I'm at peace, then I can allow myself to open up, and I can allow, my partner to come closer to me and to really see me. But until I feel deeply safe, I can't open up and let them see me. And also there's this creating this relationship, beautiful relationship with the body where our bodies speak and we actually hear. We hear what our bodies say to us. But what we need to do is to respond. Because quite often our bodies speak, we hear and we shut it down. And we trust our head. Yeah. And so developing the relationship where I hear my body and I respond. and then I can open up. And then the thing is, when the body feels like I'm responding, right? Then the body starts to feel safe. It's like I can trust myself. I'm going to protect myself. I'm going to keep myself safe. I'm going to take myself out of situations that don't work for me. And only when we really deeply trust, our bodies deeply trust us, then the body can open up. And again, sexual intimacy happens in the body. So that's step 3.
Yeah. That one sounds like it's a practice. Like it'll take practice.
It is a practice, and
Yeah.
that's why, like I offer women practices. All my work is practice based.
Mm.
And the thing is, the more I do it, the deeper I go. Like we can
Mm.
do this, like it's a continuous practice.
Mm.
But at the same time, there are these bigger shifts. And when I work with groups of women, I can see how we help ourselves to go through bigger shifts. And like when the shift happens, it's almost like, oh, I start to see my body as a different being rather than just, practice is kind of build up, right? It's kind of consistency. It's very important. But when we, as a group of women, it's almost like a light goes on.
Yeah.
And then every woman starts like, oh, I can
Yeah.
feel it.
Yeah.
Because it's not about thinking about it, right? Oh, I'm safe in my body. That's not going to
Yeah.
work. But actually feeling that safety
Yeah.
and really deeply stepping into it. And it's like it's a switch. And I call it that the step four is finding your desire switch. So it's almost like a switch. There's a practice and there's a switch. Kind of
Yeah.
both are important, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I like it. I like that. And it feels like a revolution to me, like bringing these groups of women together and so rather than tapping one person at a time, it's actually bringing groups together as we used to, when it was safe for us to be in our bodies. And we're bringing it back. So, and seeing the power of many as opposed to, and this is where Heart Place Hospital comes into. So we focus on those in the front line to support them so that that ripple effects out rather than just tapping the shoulder of one person at a time. Yeah.
And it's the power of group. The last year, I did my master's
Yeah.
research on actually the power of group work for female
Okay.
sexual empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of research that shows that actually, us being in a group, we can shift, especially shame, because shame is such a difficult emotion and it survives in darkness. And quite often, what I see women are trying, they do all this self-help, right? They're trying to work it out themselves, but actually, it happens because hurt happened relationally, it heals in a relationship. And then when women come together, we can really shift that shame. We can really create a new story together. And by ourselves, it's almost like impossible. And like I've been working with this for, years and years. I still have my own therapist. And I find even knowing the stuff, it's more about the relationship. And that's how the shift happens. And I know for me to be my best self, I have to have the support.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why we help the helpers for that
Yeah.
very reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because otherwise we can't be fully present, fully there, fully open. We're going to have some pieces behind that are kind of, in the shadow, and it's not as helpful. Yeah. Step
Right.
4
Yeah.
is connecting to the power and beauty of our
Yeah.
sexuality.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes I know some people, you try to connect to the power of your sexuality before actually going through inner critic, before feeling safe in the body. And I found it doesn't really work because we can't, right? We can't feel sexually empowered on top of criticizing ourselves, on top of not being in the body.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're nodding. And so then we really start to connect our heart to our sex center. And that's what I find is so important, that quite often, especially I assume women who listen to you, right? People who listen to you, we're good with our head, we're good in our heart. That feels good, right? We allow ourselves to be in our heart. We've got lots of love, but it actually needs to go down into our sexuality. And connecting the power of our sexuality to our heart actually makes us so much more powerful. It creates more passion, and it creates the sense of wanting to do something, wanting to give.
Yeah.
And that's how then we can experience really emotionally connected sexuality, emotionally connected intimacy. that brings more openness, more love, and also brings spiritual experiences into our sexuality when we connect, like all three, right? The spirit, the heart, the sex. And I do through a lot of tantric practices, sexuality practices, and it's all in practice. And also it's in having that switch, finding your desire switch, finding that connection between your heart and your sex center. And it's amazing what happens to women. It's almost like it's a different dimension, right? It's like, oh, wow, I used to feel my sexuality was so disconnected. I tried to feel fulfilled in sexual intimacy. But actually, if my heart is not there, if it's just about the body, it's not possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's a totally different dimension to sex for procreation or sex for just a bit of fun. It's a whole nother level.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and quite often I see women, we think that our partners need to do it for us somehow. But actually, I know that women are so much more powerful in the love realm, in sex realm. Like it's up to us to become the leaders, right, in our couple and bring more heart melting sexuality into the relationship.
Yeah. And you've alluded to it. It's also about so much scientific evidence to the health and healing of having a sacred sexuality experience, and the ripple effect of that is phenomenal. So bringing it back to Heart Place Hospital, if we can provide health and healing for those who are supporting us in these vital roles, and their health stays well, then we've got a community, we've got a society that is being supported by healed healers.
Yeah, yeah, which is crucial, huh?
Yeah, it's sustainable.
It's
So
sustainable, yeah.
yeah, without these modalities, without these models of health, that we can actually access ourselves anytime. We don't have to go somewhere. We don't have to pay someone. Then we've actually got a sustainable workforce, which is going to support our society to thrive. So it's a no-brainer, really.
We need it, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, and like you say, we have to go through those steps, the shame steps, the connecting with the bodies, to get to these points, because there's so much in society that tells us elsewise. So we need to take the steps. We need to find community to be able to access these opportunities, to access these dimensions, the bravery and the strength and the magic and the power.
Well, to have a happier life, right? It's
Yeah.
because when it's and so then when we go to step 5, right, and that's what you talk about. Step 5 is actually creating a practice, a practice that's gonna support you, a practice that keeps the energy alive. Because we need to be intentional about this.
Sure.
It's not going to happen by ourselves. And when we're growing up, right, most of us didn't learn how to have wonderful relationships. So we actually need to have a practice. And I also tell women and people, right, that in a practice, when I'm just waking up, I can do my practice and my body can open up and it feels easy. But in time of stress, we can't expect ourselves to do the practice if we haven't practiced it before. So it's almost like, right, we need to support ourselves when we feel more relaxed, and we need to really feel it in our system that I can connect, right, to the deeper love. I can bring more beauty and love into my sexuality. And then when stress happens in a relationship, in life, I can count on that practice to support me through those difficult times.
Yeah, I really like that. And we talk a lot about having healing roundtables at Heart Place Hospital. So learning to regulate that nervous system, and to me, the definition of success is having that ability, that self-regulation, so that we can then access all the self-healer that we all have within us, and bringing it back to sustainability,
Mm,
it will, the ripple effect is that we are creating a sustainable health and education system. So if we're bringing these practices in place and normalizing them, and we're also bringing groups of women together, then once again we can ripple effect that off to the next generation of women. So that there isn't so many, there isn't so much to do in those first three steps because it's been normalized.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you talk about teacher sides, like yes, like imagine, right? And lots of women, right? Teaching and kind of bringing them together
Mm,
so then they can affect so much,
mm,
yeah, so many lives,
yeah.
so many kids.
Yeah. Amazing. And what about sexual healing for women? I wonder if you could speak into that.
Um, so that the 5 steps is part of right, the
Hmm.
sexual healing.
Yeah.
Um, and the biggest part here again is that we can't do it by ourselves.
Hmm.
Um, and we can do the practices, yeah, but
Hmm.
actually what I see, if there was some sexual trauma in the past, it's quite overwhelming to be
Hmm.
there by ourselves. So that's where it's so important to find support.
Hmm.
And what I'd love to women to really hear is that it's not that something is broken in you, it's not that you can't fix it, right? It's actually that back then when it happened there was not enough support for you.
I
And
think I think there, I think there's a lot of women silently screaming as
mm,
well.
yeah.
And so when
Mm,
we can come together in community and feel that safety, I know for me, like I had to go through a period of grief of not having understood and celebrated my body
mm,
once I had come across this information and I started practicing it. I had to go through a grief process of, oh,
mm.
what? Are you
Yeah.
serious?
Yeah. Happens like yeah, all the time, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like because we didn't have support back then, what needs to happen now? We need to have more support. And then it's not about fixing ourselves.
Mm,
It's more about trusting ourselves and our body again. And
yeah.
when we start to feel safe and trust, there's nothing to fix. We had the experience, we didn't have enough support.
Hmm.
And that's how we lost the trust. That's how we got into protecting ourselves because that's what happens, right? When we had negative experiences, right? It's kind of we protect ourselves. And now we need to trust and open up. But it doesn't happen, it happens relationally. So, yeah, if you have any, sexual healing that you know to go through, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you find someone who can help you out with that. And especially, and when I was doing my research, was the interesting thing was about female sexual desire, how women lose desire, and there
Hmm.
was a group of women. They just started to meet together and talk about sexuality, and just by simply through being together, their desire started to increase.
Hmm.
It's like when we come together, there's this magic that happens, and that support is it's crucial. So don't suffer by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that anything is broken; it's that you
Yeah.
didn't have enough support.
Yeah. I love referring to it as um, ruptures, and then you find the rapture,
Mm,
and then yeah, you can start practicing your desires. So for me, I write my desire lists. I have a desire list. I just keep adding to it and taking it away. And I do. I share it with friends. I'm like, what's on your desire list? What's
mm,
happening? Yeah, so that we can start normalizing it. So then we can normalize it with our daughters as well, and sons, our children. Yes, such a magical tool that we've all got within us. You and I have done some work with menopause, and the beauty of menopause
yeah, yeah.
is we're one of three mammals, so the elephant and the whale and human, that actually go through this amazing magical time, and we can still reclaim this sexual confidence, and we don't actually have to worry about procreating another human being anymore. So
Well,
the freedom is unbelievable. The
yeah.
liberation is unbelievable.
Well, you said still, which I would It's not still, it's actually now is the time to reclaim it. Yeah. So actually now is the
Thank
time,
you.
because back then we were all in procreation and
We
we were
were,
just creating lives, right? And
we
now is the time to actually start to feel heart-centered sexuality. It's
mhm.
right there. And it's when women say, oh, I lost my desire, like it's menopause and I lost my desire. But actually the way I see this, it's more that we need something different on the menu and
Yeah,
then we'll desire it. It's like we
yeah,
don't want fast food anymore. That's
that's
the
right.
problem. Rather than that
Yeah,
I lost my desire, it's like I don't like
yeah.
what's on the menu.
I love that.
Change
I
your
love that
menu.
because because we're going through an evolution, a natural evolution, and it's a transition. So we're not going to be the same.
No.
um, and
Well, it'll be sad if we were the same. The thing is, then we just like stuck and somehow we expect ourselves to be like in our 20s. It's like, well, but it's boring. We've done
yeah,
that.
thank you. Yeah, totally. Boring. This and more, please. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I love that. I love that. There's so much to that. And I love of course love talking about this particular transition because it's so fresh to me and you're in it too. And I love talking about aging with adventure. So I know for me, like there was very little information that resonated with me. There was a lot of sort of science-based information, medicalized information. However, it's just so cool now to be able to offer up people like yourself to our community who actually can see that we can age with adventure.
Oh, with joy, with pleasure, with freedom. It's like
Yeah,
we can have so much more freedom now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love it. Thank you so much. And um, Tarisha's one of our service providers here at Heart Place Hospital. So I'm already feeling, we haven't talked about this, but this will probably happen. But I'm already feeling like we could cook something up together. I really do.
Well, like a group of women. Yeah, it'll be nice to just
Yeah,
women
yeah,
together.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting a big hell yes. So
Yeah.
yeah, let's do it.
Wow.
So anyone that's listening, this probably by the time you listen to this, it'll be all organized.
Yeah, yes. We can do it quickly. I know. Yes.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Everything's going quickly.
Mm.
So thank you so much, Trish. I've really enjoyed this, and I know there's way more to this than this, but it just gives everybody a little taster to what is possible. And I think like a lot of people that our visitors that come to Heart Places, as was I, we're the bridges. So from not having had this information to now being exposed to this information and practicing it and seeing the actual magic and miracles that come from it. So I would love for you to share with our listeners something that's coming up in your heart place and how people can find you.
So the gift is going to be there, right? And so that's the 5 practices I highly recommend. It's a free course, and it's just 5 practices that can sustain you and can open up a new door for you. And also, I'm doing a live event in Auckland. It's a 1-day event for women. Heal your relationship with your body and your sexuality. It's at the Button Factory. So it's a group of women coming together for a day. And also I work with couples, do emotionally focused therapy for couples. And also I'm teaching like a 3-month course for women where we come together over 3 months and we really go deep with all the 5 steps. And if anyone is interested, you just, reach out to me. But I'd love to, if you can start with Reclaim Your Sexual Confidence mini course. I think that's the really best place to just see what works for you, what opens up, and ask me any questions.
Yeah, wonderful. And how can people find you?
Sexualempowermentforwomen.com.
Beautiful. Oh, thank you so much, Tarisha. I've really enjoyed this. It's sparked more joy for me, and I look forward to everybody hearing this and sharing this and what we can create together. What
we can create together. I like that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Your heart.
Beautiful.